Massive update? Leafs moves collide with scary injury news?
Quick reminder for Leafs Nation, if you're a diehard Toronto fan and you're still bleeding blue and white, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It's the best way to stay updated every single day on our journey.
The Toronto Maple Leafs organization, it really stands at a genuine crossroads tonight.
It really does.
Facing the Colorado Avalanche, I mean, this is a huge test. And the decisions made in the last, 48 hours? They're going to define the path for the second half of the season.
Absolutely. From the blue line to the crease to, the very soul of the team.
Exactly. So for you, the informed observer, our mission here is to cut through some of that noise. We're doing a deep dive into the source material.
Right.
We're going to analyze the nuanced roster moves, clarify that critical injury timeline, and most importantly, dissect this massive culture shift that seems to have everyone buzzing.
Yeah, we've got three main threads that, when you put them together, they paint a really complete picture of a team that's transforming.
Okay, what are they?
First, a move on defense that clarifies their depth management. Second, the big update on goaltender Anthony Stolarz, which, it creates a whole new problem to solve.
A good problem, maybe.
A complicated one, for sure. And finally, the big report outlining how the team has, finally and decisively committed to what sources are calling Craig Berube hockey.
Okay, let's unpack that immediately. And let's start on the blue line. We're talking about a move that could easily fly under the radar, but strategically, it's a necessary one.
It is. We're talking about defenseman Dakota Mermis. He's been assigned to the Toronto Marlies on a conditioning loan.
And that term conditioning loan, that's the key here, isn't it?
It's everything. It means Mermis, who's been out for a long time with an injury, can get into real games in the AHL.
Without having to clear waivers.
Exactly. And he doesn't count against the NHL roster limit for, I think, up to 6 games. It gives him some much-needed depth with all the injuries on the back end.
And the sources aren't just saying he's back, they're providing some pretty pointed context on what they expect from him.
Yeah, there's a quiet suggestion that Mermis, even a little rusty, might be a better option right now than Phil Myers.
Who has struggled a lot.
That's putting it mildly. And look, that might be a low bar, but it tells you why this move matters now. Myers has just been plagued by turnovers, bad reads. He doesn't really fit the structured system Berube wants.
So if Mermis can just be reliable.
Just reliable. If he can provide a little bit of solid 5-on-5 defense, he has real value to the organization right now.
Okay, so this move, it immediately creates a ripple effect, right? If Mermis is ready for the NHL soon, what does that mean for someone like Matt Benning?
That's the question. Benning is the odd man out here. If Mermis comes back and looks good, Benning is probably heading back to the Marlies.
And this is all about the salary cap.
It's all about cap compliance. These little moves, optimizing what you have internally, it shows that, they still want to trade for a top 4 defenseman. But they're also trying to make their own low-cost guys as healthy and, frankly, as tradable as possible. It's about creating flexibility before the deadline.
That sets the stage nicely. But let's pivot now to what is probably the most critical personnel story of the day, and that's the situation in goal.
The crease, yeah.
Anthony Stolarz is officially rejoining the Leafs for morning sleep today.
This is a massive development, and you have to look at the timeline. Stolarz hasn't been on the ice with the main group since November 11th. That's 2 months and a day.
And the fact he traveled with the team on this big West Coast trip and is now practicing with them, it suggests a return it's getting very close.
The team needs to know. They need to know if that insurance policy they signed in the summer is still going to pay out.
We did get the usual comments from Coach Berube, cautious optimism. But if you read between the lines, there's a timeline there. He said no target date, Stolarz needs the reps.
But the key phrase was that he possibly plays before the Olympics.
And the Olympic break is just 2 weeks away.
Exactly. So if he's going to play before then, that conditioning window is incredibly tight. It means the front office is staring down a 3-goalie situation in a matter of days.
And that's where the headache begins.
That is the headache, yeah.
So let's define that headache. Because right now, things are stable. Joseph Woll gets the start tonight against Colorado, so he's the 1A. And Dennis Hildeby has been, rock solid.
Very solid. So the logistics of managing 3 NHL-capable goalies, especially with the cap, that's the problem.
The cap is the biggest issue.
It has to be. If you fully activate Stolarz, somebody has to move. If you send Hildeby back to the Marlies, you have to put him on waivers.
And you risk losing him for nothing.
You risk losing a young, promising goalie on an entry-level contract who has played well in the NHL Another team would almost certainly claim him. You lose a valuable asset for absolutely nothing.
So, okay, if they're afraid of losing Hildeby, they rock a trio of goalies. What are the problems with that? You're giving up a roster spot.
You immediately lose roster flexibility, which is critical. But it's more than that. A 3-goalie rotation, it's just a distraction. You have 3 guys fighting for practice time, 2 guys constantly wondering when their next start is. It's a delicate ego management situation for the coaches.
So what's the other option? Send Hildeby down and pray.
You could send him down temporarily until Stolarz proves he's durable. That's probably safer.
Yeah.
But the waiver risk is real, and the source material says the organization values Hildeby very, very highly.
So that's the real choice. Asset protection versus roster optimization.
That's the defining decision they have to make, right?
Okay, that's the personnel side. Let's move beyond individuals to the collective mindset. Darren Dreger's new report confirms this profound culture shift within the team. And it all centers on the players buying into the system.
And this isn't just, good vibes or a hot streak. The evidence is quantifiable, it's systemic, especially since Christmas.
Look at the special teams.
Exactly. Look at the metrics. They are #1 in the NHL on both the power play and the penalty kill in that stretch.
#1 in both. That's not luck.
No, that's tactical execution. It's sustained effort.
And beyond the results, the sources are pointing to 2 other big shifts. 1, the 5-on-5 play is now very controlled. 2, the physicality is way up.
Dramatically up. The team is all standing up for each other. And, we've seen the injury reports from other teams like the Canucks. The opposition is noticing this new physical edge.
So connecting the dots, this is Craig Berube hockey.
This is the team finally playing Craig Berube hockey. And we should define what that is. It's a high-intensity forecheck, it's quick defensive transitions, it's a much higher number of blocked shots.
And clean zone exits, not just flashy plays.
Right, prioritizing the smart play over the fancy one.
The sources say this really took hold after they fired Mark Savard. Why then? What changed?
The coaching message became singular. It became unified, Savard style. It was more offensive, more free-flowing. With that gone, Berube could just impose his structure, no questions asked.
And it started at the top.
It did. The sources point out that the change started with the captain, Austin Matthews. He is reportedly way more engaged now.
What does that enhanced engagement actually look like on the ice?
It's visible leadership. It's a great reminder of how quickly that dynamic can change when your captain stops being the quiet leader and starts being the visibly demanding leader.
He's blocking shots.
He's blocking shots, he's finishing checks, and he's holding himself and his teammates accountable to the defensive system first and foremost. When your best player buys in like that,
everyone else follows.
Everyone follows.
And look at the guys they brought in. Nicola Watt, Scott Lawton. They were acquired specifically for this.
They were. They were brought in to reinforce the exact identity Berube was trying to build, and now the rest of the core is finally catching up.
But let's pump the brakes a little. We have to be cautious here, right? We can't just ride the good